One last question. Last question. On the occasion of this comeback tour of yours, one critic in Germany wrote that the world tour might turn out to be a grandiose finale, or it could turn out to be an artistic tragedy.
So far, it hasn't been a tragedy.
And you don't...
I belong to the category, the difference between the ancient Greeks and me is that I don't cry on tragedies until they happen. If they happen, then I don't cry on the tragedies. I cope with them. So let's hope for the best.
Hi everyone, welcome. So this is a bit of a different video. There is a premiere happening right now at the Munich Opera, the Bayerische Staatsoper, which is a piece called The Seven Deaths of Maria Callas. It is by performer and artist Marina Abramovic, and it is, like I said, a new work that no one has seen before that will be live streamed on the 5th of September and available for a whole month. So if you were thinking about watching that, I thought I would make this video and tell you very quickly some stuff you might want to know, mainly about the life of Maria Callas. Who was she? What happened to her? And a little bit about who Marina Abramovic is and what she's done. Maria Callas is one of the most famous opera singers of all times. She was a soprano. She was born in 1923, died in 1977, and she was very famous because of what she did on stage, but also really famous, or known, I don't know, famous is not a good word, really talked about the stuff that happened in her private life. So she was born in Manhattan, but was from a Greek family, and her actual full name was Maria Anna Cecilia Sofia Kalegeropoulou. I'm really sorry because I butchered that Greek last name, but she also had a lot of names. But after a couple of years of growing up in Manhattan, her parents actually split up, and her mother took her and her sister to back to Greece on their own. And at this point, Maria was always kind of singing a little bit. Her mother really wanted to push her education into singing and enrolled her at the conservatory in Athens, but Maria says in an interview that it was not allowed to do so until you were 17, but because she was a big girl, they lied about her age and enrolled her when she was actually 14. At this early point and throughout her life, what stands out is her work ethic. So they say she was fluent in Italian and French incredibly quick. She was always the first one there, the last one to leave. When the war broke, she really pushed to keep rehearsing, even though they had no electricity. She would take care of having like lamps to work around. So she just really pushed and had an incredible work ethic. She also struggled with a lot of weight issues, pretty much just the way she was perceived for it. So at a point she felt pressure to lose a bunch of weight, and she lost like 37 kilos. And her first important break came when she worked with Serafini, a conductor, and then later on went to work at the Scala di Milano with Visconti, which was a regisseur, like a stage director. And in these years she perfected her craft, which was to link the singing intrinsically with the drama, examining the character, seeing what happened to her, where she's coming from, where she ends, and pulling from those things into the decisions that went into the musical and vocal lines, just mixing those things together, which sounds like a pretty obvious thing, but it wasn't that obvious back then, and it became obvious thanks to her in part. But in any case, she has successes, but she's also very criticized because her voice was quite different, and also her style of acting was quite different. So she had a little bit of a love-hate relationship at the beginning, and she also started to get a bad reputation for being difficult to work with. She had a lot of cancellations and last-minute dropouts. When you see the interviews with her, she insists that she's not difficult to work with. She just has standards that she doesn't want to lower or sacrifice. And also things like, I may be sick, I am a singer, and that when she would ask for a cover when she was really famous, they would say, no one can be your cover, you are Maria Callas, and so she had no cover. And that is quite a lot of pressure to have. There is this reputation. I don't know what really happened inside. Maybe, you know, if someone out there is 80 years old and worked with her and wants to write something in the comments, that would be great.
Obviously, you've had a great success in your professional life. Your private life has not perhaps been as successful, no?
No. No.
Why?
Before this point in her career, she had already married Menegini, who was a businessman. He was a bit older than her, and there are accounts that the relationship was not the best. And in any case, after a couple of years of being married, she started a relationship with another businessman called Aristoteles Onassis. He was Greek. He was extremely rich and, you know, liked to sort of have a big public social life and was always in his yacht inviting people. So a very, you know, socialite type of businessman. And when they both started this relationship, they were both married. But it was the most public relationship. I mean, I know today that's an understatement because any celebrity is followed 24/7, but think this was like 1960 and they were still followed everywhere, interviewed extensively. But the relationship was very intense in that they loved each other very much. However, let's say the public idea of what happened was that he did not want to marry her, although she states repeatedly that she didn't want to marry him. But in any case, after a very intense and passionate relationship, she divorced Menegini and was publicly with Aristoteles for many years. They separated, and shortly after, Aristoteles Onassis married Jackie Kennedy, so the widow of JFK, which was, of course, another hugely public relationship. And as soon as that happened, Maria started getting completely followed by the press to see how she was feeling, if she was friends with Jackie, if she hated Jackie, just a huge amount of rumors and speculation about her being completely heartbroken. And at this point, Maria started singing again, because when she started her relationship with Aristoteles, she stopped singing.
And then with Mr. Onassis, we had a wonderful life. I don't regret every bit of it. I do regret when I stopped singing.
You stopped singing because of
Well,
him?
no, I worked less and less because evidently he did not like me to sing. If a person is in love, he does not want to see you on stage. That is comprehensible.
And so when they split, she decided to go back to singing. But of course, she hadn't sung in a long time. So the couple of concerts that she was doing were not at the same standards as, you know, when she was at the very top. And she knew this. She says in interviews, I am trying to improve. I am not who I was 20 years ago. The public has an expectation that is completely unrealistic based on what they know, that I haven't been singing in 8 years. But in any case, after this period of trying, she became more and more isolated. She had a very strange relationship with her mother and family. She was not talking to them. And in 1977, she died in her house of a heart attack.
You discarded a husband. You no longer have your lover.
Well,
And your job is, I mean, you're now professionally,
Yes.
You're making a tour, but that is not the compelling thing that it was, and one wonders what is at the core of your life, what is at the center of your life today, Madame Callas?
It is just so brutal what they did to her, you know? The interviews, when you see them, they're heartbreaking because imagine sitting in front of someone and them going, well, your career's over. You're now singing terrible and you have no love in your life. So what's next? Which is pretty much what they did. If you see the interviews, they were so incredibly rough on her and they wanted to buy into this idea of her own life being an opera tragedy, a Greek tragedy of that. And so they were just trying so hard. They were just shaping all of their questions into being exactly that. And she got this reputation from being difficult with the press because who wants to answer those questions? They would not fly today. They would not. No one would sit there and have someone ask them the questions about why wouldn't she marry him, and it's sad that she was miserable. And what is sadder is, or I don't know, sadder, it's not a word, but she has a point where she says, I thought that what made a woman happy was to have a man to take care of. I thought that was it. There's some late interviews once she split from Onassis where she claims she did not want to get married again. It is obviously, we can't know if she meant that or if she just publicly was not going to like pour her heart out and say what she felt. We can't know that, but I believe her. And then she says, I stopped singing because Onassis didn't like it. And I don't know, it's just so messed up and weird. But yeah, that was her life. So, in this premiere by Marina Abramovic, we know that we're going to see 7 death scenes from 7 operas that Maria Callas has sung herself. And what this all have in common is that, in a sense, they died for love, in a way. And I would assume trying to allude to Maria's own death, because the myth is that she died of heartbreak, of love as well. Now, very shortly on Marina Abramovic, or Abramovic, I am really sorry again. If you have never seen any of her works, she has actually a lot of videos where she talks about what performance is and the difference between that and theater. I'll leave you a link to a TED Talk. It's only like 15 minutes. But to be very, very short, she is a performance artist. She was born in Serbia. She is famous worldwide. She has done a lot of performances and works of art, but the one that people relate quickest to her is one that she did in 1974, where pretty much she was at a museum and she said, I'm going to stand here still for like 6 hours. There's a table with elements. Some elements are nice things that you can do to me, like give me a glass of water, and some elements are horrible things you can do to me, like, I don't know, scissors, even a gun with a bullet, and some harm elements. And pretty much she went, I'm not going to move. You're also not held responsible for whatever happens to me. So you can do whatever you want. That's it, the end. And it all started pretty nice and decent. And then slowly it started to get horrible. People chose to cut her clothes off, even like harm her physically. She was bleeding a bit, write things all over her body. It was quite intense, and I don't want to put words into her work, but I think she was just trying to show what humans do, different humans do, when accountability is taken, when they're not to be held responsible morally, let's say, or even when there are no consequences in what you do. What do you choose to do? So I am very curious and excited to see. Thank you to the Bayerische Staatsoper for making this available for us for a whole month. If you have any comments now, or if you watched it and have any comments, let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I will see you next time.